Hello everybody, my name is Jerry Tong, and today I'm with Kenneth Shin. We're going to learn about Malala Yousafzai. Alright, if you have any questions, Kenneth, please ask me at any time.
Okay.
So this is the life of Malala Yousafzai. First we have to start off with her father. Malala's father is named Sadani Yousafzai, and what he did was he wanted to open up a school for girls. And he wanted to help his friends. In the beginning, this idea wasn't very popular, but then eventually his school started to succeed and become very successful. In July 12, 1997, Malala was born. She was born in Mingora, Pakistan, and that's pretty much it for that. In October 8th, 2005, there was a massive earthquake that hit Mingora. And the Taliban, whose leader was Mullah, he preached that the earthquake was caused by increasing women's freedom and obscenity. Malala and her schoolmates began to raise money for victims of the earthquake and collected more than 1 million rupees. Yes, Ken?
Why is this important, actually?
Okay. Well, first off, Mullah is the leader of the Taliban. And the Taliban, they don't want women to be educated. And for some reason, in Pakistan, the Taliban took over. The Taliban are from Afghanistan, and with the war with America, they were pushed out of Pakistan. And Pakistan was a little bit corrupt, so they took over. The existing government in Pakistan was very corrupt. So when the Taliban took over, they want a more traditional Muslim life. And they believe that the way to do it is to follow the Quran to the letter. And they do that in a way which is called Sharia law. So Sharia law is actually what the Taliban use to control the government. And they have things, they believe many things such as no education for women, more or less freedoms for everybody. And for Mullah to say this actually caused a lot of schools to close down. Okay?
Okay.
So, the Taliban eventually takes over the Swat in 2007. The Swat Valley is where Malala lived in 2007, and they just got stronger and stronger. By 2008, 400 schools were destroyed by the Taliban. Religious structures like the large Buddha statue, the Swat for many years was destroyed. The amount of public floggings increased as the most common victim being women. Flogging is basically when you just start beating people on the street. And Malala and many others found themselves not being able to walk to the market without fearing for their lives.
Okay.
Yes, Ken?
I want to ask a question.
Yes.
Where is SWAT?
Swat is in the northwestern part of Pakistan, more north than west. You can see it on the map currently.
Okay.
It's very close to Afghanistan.
Alright.
Alright. So, in 2008, September 1st, Malala delivers her first speech. At age 11, her father took her to Peshawar to protest the Taliban's plan to begin closing schools. She delivered her first public speech entitled, "How Dare the Taliban Take Away My Basic Right to Education?" This was the first of many speeches. Yes? Okay.
Why is she so determined to not let the Taliban close the schools?
Malala is a very special student. She believes that the best way for any person to succeed is to have the opportunity to be educated. And the fact that the Taliban is taking away the right to learn from the people is a huge affront to her. What the Taliban is basically trying to tell the people of Pakistan and pretty much the whole world is that women are not to be seen or heard. They're only allowed to stay at home and bear children. And that Malala cannot accept.
Okay.
So, in January 3rd, 2009, Malala partnered with BBC correspondents and began to blogging in Urdu about her life under the Taliban, and more specifically, school life. So she sort of used a pseudonym during this time. It gained attention both in SWAT and outside of it, and she began receiving death threats from the Taliban. Yes, Henry?
What is a pseudonym?
A pseudonym is a fake name. It's a name that you want to have consistency, so that you want to keep using this name when you don't want people to know who you are, but you need them to know that it's the same person saying it. She used a pseudonym simply to protect herself from threats such as the Taliban, which were out to kill her.
Okay.
So, on January 15, 2009, the school was closed down. Maulana Fazullah, a Taliban leader, announced that all girls' schools must be closed in SWAT. This really took a toll on Malala, but she never lost hope that she would return to school. Yes?
But like by how much, like didn't the school start closing a long time ago? Like how much was this in 2009? Like to what extent exactly?
All of them.
All of them?
All of them were closed.
Oh, okay.
All of them were ordered to be closed. I don't believe all of them were closed. I believe 60% of the schools actually complied and closed down. 40% stayed open, but in secret.
Okay.
So, in May 5th, 2009, Malala and the family flee from SWAT to safety. It eventually became too dangerous to live in SWAT, so Malala and her family became internationally displaced persons, moving first to Mardan, then to her mother's village, Kershat, to live with her uncle. She went to school with her cousin and had to adjust to the way school was, done in more conservative, traditional countryside. Yes, ma'am?
Where is Kershat?
Kershat is a little bit south of Swat, still in the same region, but it was special because it wasn't controlled by the Taliban during this time.
Okay.
On July 24, 2009, the schools reopened and Malala and the family returned. The Taliban's power died down for a brief period of time, making it safe to return back to SWAT and reopen the school. However, it was devastating for Malala to return and see the ruins of her beloved hometown, which had become a battleground over the months. So Malala's efforts were recognized in 2011. Malala became the national hero when she was nominated for the International Children's Peace Prize and won the National Peace Prize in Pakistan, which was later named in her honor. So obviously for this reward, she didn't use her pseudonym, she used her actual name. So I think this event made her very famous. Because the next thing that happens on October 9, 2012, while riding the school bus home from after school, Malala was fatally shot by the Taliban. Two of the girls were also injured, though not as severe. Her condition was so severe the bullet went in through her ear and out her shoulder. That she was taken to a hospital in Birmingham, England, where she and her family have since relocated to today. This event led to Malala and her cause gaining worldwide attention. The Taliban, what they essentially did was they tried to nip Malala in the bud and try to scare everybody into not going to school. But what they essentially did was the same thing what Barbara Streisand did when she tried to hide pictures of her house from the internet. Yes, Kenneth?
What's the Streisand effect?
The Streisand effect is when you have something that you want disappear. So maybe a photo, maybe a cause, or a person. And they basically thought they killed Malala, but they made the accident of not killing her. That's number one. And number two, they gave her more exposure to her cause than she ever did. So after this, she became this worldwide world-renowned. And people started to find out about her everywhere. She was on a lot of talk shows. She won, I think the next thing she did is she addressed the United Nations. She gave a speech in the UN in July 12th, 2013, and where it calls for free education for all the children. She also, in October 8th, 2013, she also writes a book, which is titled Who Was Malala?, which is what the Taliban was yelling at her bus to see which one was her. And then in 2014, she is awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, and she is the youngest recipient ever to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. And then in 2014, she travels to Africa, and she talks about women's, children's right to education. And she is still doing all these things till today. Do you have any more questions, Kenneth?
No.
Okay, thank you very much.